Pratiksha, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can continue now.
Yeah. So, with your kind permission, shall we start our interaction today?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Honorable Rohit Sardesai, sir. Pratiksha ma'am from CAD Center, who has for sparing time for me and my dear students. We have Ojaswini also with us today.
Okay.
Rohit Sardesai sir is an architect by qualification, and he has done his master's degree in project management. He is also a PMP from PMI, and sir has got more than 20 years of experience in project management in managing end-to-end large development projects consisting of multiple buildings. It is really great to have you, sir. Sir started his career in 1995 with development of luxury hotel projects with Taj Group of hotels. First at Delhi, then he moved to Mumbai. It's a long profile. Then sir has worked with Honeywell also. That is interesting, sir. That is I didn't know that you were with Honeywell as well. Yeah. So that was, I think, regards to some IT implementation.
Correct. No, I did their IT office infrastructure and factories all over India. So I was their real estate head in that period.
That is great. So currently, sir is working with a leading civil construction company in Pune called as Kumar Properties. Sir, as far as I remember, you are the vice president of projects.
Correct. I am responsible for entire development portfolio, which covers design, procurement, contracts, end-to-end construction for real estate projects of Kumar Properties. We have projects in Pune, Bangalore, and Mumbai. All three places, I take care of the entire construction.
Okay. Apart from his professional career, sir is also very active in academics in the field of architecture and project management. Sir also spares times for the leading colleges as a visiting faculty for them. And sir has also been he was also part of board of studies for architecture at Pune University.
Correct.
Right, sir?
Correct.
So over to you, sir. It's a long profile. Really excited to listen to you for about an hour. Also, how much time you can spare. So, students, please make notes while sir is mentoring us. So, sir, I would like to start this interaction. That how did it all begin? How did you first land up into, because you are an architect and it's, I think, a very unique profile that you have synthesized your knowledge one into architecture and then into project management.
Correct.
So over to you, sir.
So it's a long story. I come from a background of academicians. Both my parents were into academics. My father was principal of architecture college in Pune, and my mother was a HOD at microbiology department. And right at the beginning, because I had a good score of 98% in my 12th standard, I got admission in COAP. That time I was having admission in mechanical engineer, and because the COAP college typically starts in August, my father said, what are you doing? You give also entrance test of architecture college. And that's how I gave the entrance test and I secured good marks. I got the admission. And when I entered into architecture college, at that time, suddenly it struck me the logic that if I want to do my career in buildings, nobody is going to give me large project just because I'm an architect, because they will ask for what is your credential, how many buildings you have done, and so on and so forth. But if I want to be part of the management team, then definitely I'll do wonders, because there's a good amount of scope. I'm talking way back in 85, 86, when construction boom has just started in India, economy was opening up, and that's how I decided that I want to do my career in building projects. Like in India, there are two separate segments. One is a habitable projects, which we call it as building projects, which will be hotels, hospital, IT building, residential complex. And then there is an infrastructure project like large scale refineries, oil plants, roads, dams, and so on and so forth. So I was very clear that I want to focus into building projects, and that's how I took admission in architecture. Fortunately, throughout my career, because I am from a family of architects, I got good support from my family members. I was a throughout rank holder in my university career, and one thing was very clear that I didn't want to pursue design as my profession. I wanted to go into project management, and that's how I came across School of Planning and Architecture Delhi course, which I subsequently got admission into, and I managed to get my master's degree in building engineering and management. That's where they teach you how do you manage building projects, what is the difference between building projects and infrastructure projects. And through my campus interview, I landed myself in Taj Group of Hotels. At that time, we were doing a heritage hotel with a development partner in Jaipur. So I was responsible for that design coordination as I started my career, because I was an architect and did my master's in project management. So obviously, initially the first hope of getting associated with projects was into design management. But slowly, I climbed up ladder from design management. I went into sourcing, design, costing, budgets, then controller of project, like manage time and cost, and subsequently landed myself in a role of PMO office head, like project management office head, where I would set up teams of various projects from a head office level, trying to manage them at a multi-level location. So whether it is Taj or whether it was Kamath Hotels, or I was associated with Honeywell also, my job was I was their head office person, trying to establish a PMO setup where project management office setup looks into multiple projects all across different geographic region, and some of them will be modifications, some of them will be greenfield, some would be retrofit kind of a thing, but manage a team. So both site as well as head office exposure I got, and subsequently my role has now been into trying to mentor teams, develop ERP system, controls, processes, because like for example, currently I work with Kumar Properties. So we typically turn around 2000 apartments a year, which is like a investment of more than 2,500 crores per annum. Parallelly, at any given time, we have projects going on more than 7,000-8,000 crores of investment. So how do you establish a corporate governance? What kind of processes would you bring in? How do you manage multi-level challenges in construction practices? Last 4 or 5 years, there has been a lot of compliances issues. You have RERA coming in, you have other requirements coming in. So how do you comply with those requirements at the same time deliver the project is been my role. As I would say that it's been quite enriching. Unlike operations or unlike banking job where you go every day and do the same job every day, project management is always a new role every day. You are not having a set routine. Sometimes you will be on site, sometimes you will be on head office, and as I call it in a very crude language, I'm a matchmaker. I will try to keep on doing marriages of different parties, whether it is supplier, contractor, consultant, trying to find earlier the risk involved and then trying to diffuse the issues. So that's been my role in my journey. I hope this answers you, Kaustubh, in some sense. I think we lost Kaustubh in between.
Maybe. So yes, sir, your introduction was very good, sir. You have lots of experience and
yes.
okay, so आपका इतना एक्सपीरियंस हमारे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए बहुत हेल्पफुल रहेगा। तो आपने बताया कि आप होटल मतलब 5 स्टार होटल या फिर मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर आप काम करते हो। तो मैनेजमेंट मतलब क्या, मतलब कौन से सॉफ्टवेयर पे आप काम करते हो?
So any building projects would definitely get split into different domain expertise. Like you need some softwares to do design management like AutoCAD, or you have SketchUp model, Revit. These will help you to do design management. Similarly, equally important to design management, you need to manage the project. So project timelines, you will manage it using Microsoft Project. Collaboration softwares, you will use Smartsheet or other software. You also have a ERP system to control your cost. So ERP system could be SAP or Hit Office or Quadra, different depending upon each organization requirements. You will have multiple systems. In addition to that, you need softwares to do your day-to-day management. Like for example, if a site team is doing execution, then for each work item, they need to carry out checklist. Manual checklists are gone now long back, because manual checklist, nobody goes on sites and fills in. It's a paper trail which nobody can check in. But people like us who are more organized in nature and who have got multi-location sites going on, we do develop our own software. So we have mobile-based apps which will give you daily progress report, labor report, checklist for each work item. When it is coming to handover customer, then we'll have our own checklist. Our concrete cube results get tested on that. So all these will keep on coming in terms of various software interlink. So I would not say that there is only one single software. It's a combination of multiple softwares helping us out in multiple disciplines of the project facets.
Kaustubh sir,
Yeah, now I'm switch my network. Yeah, sir, I missed some part of it. So you said 2,000 apartments currently you are doing, and that is with what time frame, sir?
So our yearly output is 2,000 apartment. Every year we will hand over 2,000 apartments.
Okay, every year.
Yeah.
And what is the estimated, project cost of it, sir?
So as I said that that's why my single project spans between 500 to 700 CR. There are multiple such projects keep on happening. So my portfolio on a yearly spend is around 800 to 1,000 crores. And because I'm doing such high level turnaround, I need more systems in place.
Okay, okay.
And I'm talking about turnover of cost of construction. From a sale price of view, it will be much higher, because each apartment would typically cost you between, sale price would be between 80 lakhs to 1.2 CR. So if you are talking about 2,000 apartment, then that pricing is much higher value. But that is a sale price which consists of land and other cost. I'm talking about direct cost of construction.
Yeah. Sir, I am a big fan of Howard Gardner, and I, study a lot of his cognitive psychology literature. So here he has mentioned 5 disciplines of how you can, make your career in the 21st century. And when I was developing a course on that how to pursue your career, in one of the chapters about synthesis, I had proudly mentioned your example.
Oh.
That being an architect, you have disciplined yourself in one field, and then you have synthesized your knowledge in the other field of project management as well. Can you tell me, sir, how you, in the beginning, what was your approach towards building your career? What was your mindset while working for each of your client or employer, as I would say? Because you typically, for me, fit into the standard template what Howard Gardner has given for the 21st century.
So as I said, Kaustubh, during my initial years of learning, because I had a good mentorship of my father, who also was an architect, I got exposed to vertical disciplines of architecture, whether it is a design architect, project architect, design detailer. Those kind of terminologies were very clear to me right from the beginning, because I used to also go and sit in his office to see what kind of practice he does. And I realized that end of the day, there is no point in drawing beautiful lines on piece of paper, having a very exotic look of your building. You need to construct building. And unfortunately in India, construction of building is still done by using majority of support of illiterate laborers. So you must also have some system in place where there is a lot of chaos in civil construction, but you still need to make sense out of nonsense. And how do you do it? Purely because you want to follow project management guidelines. And that's the golden truth, that if you follow project management principles, disciplines, there is a chance and a hope that you will reach somewhere. So when I was doing architecture as my career, even though I was very good in design and all, my mind was very clear that I am going to be a role of a problem solver. So when I say problem solver, that means I'm not going to do designing, but whatever design is coming in front of me, I will try to provide solutions from more efficient way of design, more economy of scale, more quality, helpful design. Because many a times you must have seen that sometimes, just because, sorry to say this word, but architects have their lot of egos or whims and fancies. They use client as a guinea pig, and they will draw exotic buildings with complete glazing on one side. Honestly, in India, having glazing with lot of heat gain is not prudent for design. So you need to rationalize those design. And because I have architecture qualification with me, with conviction, initially nobody used to listen to me because I was relatively raw in the field of project management. But over the years, fortunately, I have interacted with many international consultants, because hotels would always have an international consultants on board. They lack the Indian construction requirements, and I was like a intermediary between the two, which helped me to gain their confidence and learn their thought process, and also make them understand what works in construction, what doesn't work. So my role always have been like a auditor of a design, to make design give more efficient output. And I can give you options in terms of material sourcing. I can give you options in terms of construction methodologies. I know how to manage large scale deployment or cost, what kind of system needs to be in place. Because honestly speaking, Kaustubh, when I look at it, any project, a certain standard of quality will be always maintained. You will always have a grade A kind of a material. You are not going to go for a cheaper material to be installed. So whatever you will build is going to be looking good. It's not going to be like a chawl or a substandard product. So if you are going to achieve minimum standards in design, then how do you make sure that the project becomes more functional? Or end of the day, project becomes more logical to its fitment of use. That's been my role.
Okay, great, sir. So currently, you must be, as you rightly mentioned, because for large scale deployment of projects, every organization will use a lot of systems.
Yes.
And today, then probably we are also at behest of IT systems.
Correct.
So currently in your organization, or probably in the larger scale of construction industry, so what softwares must civil engineers or students of interior designing learn to participate in a grand way in this construction industry?
So I believe that construction,
From the design, structure, everything. Yeah.
So I believe that construction industry is going to be a teamwork. It's no longer a isolated island kind of a design. Like no longer you can say that structural design independently will work out structure. End of the day, they need to see the requirements of site. They need to provide solution what can be constructed. So they are becoming like a team player. Now, when you want to become a team player, your content will matter 40%. That means if it is a design, definitely you need to have a working drawings drawn properly, but that's only 40% of your scope. 60% scope would be how do you ensure that the site demands are met, both in terms of drawing quality, drawing standards, you maintain a system in place. Because when you go for large projects, the biggest challenge will be what is the version control. Somebody at site would be having version number 6, whereas design office is using version number 9. Now how do you communicate this effectively? So there are systems in place which are called as document management system, or there is a platform by Autodesk called as Autodesk Build, where you can do design management. So I believe that slowly students should also understand that they definitely need to know basics of AutoCAD, they must be master of AutoCAD, they must be master of Revit, but they also should understand how project will get benefited by using your system. Like sometimes I come across with relatively fresher architects or relatively fresher engineers who don't know what is the meaning of drawing register. Like if you don't define drawing register for a project, which will have heads like structure, architecture, plumbing, drainage, fire, these are the main heads. But amongst this head, if you take architecture, then there is a foundation, substructure, superstructure. In substructure, you will have basement layouts, parking layouts. So you need to understand the language which large scale project requires to be used for. You might be good in drafting a working drawing, but unless you draft a working drawing and give a sequence, give a referencing of that drawing with a whole picture, there is no point of just having worked out in a silos. You need to combine everything. Or for that matter, I get lot of students who say that I know Revit. So I said, very good, Revit is a good tool, but can you tell me what is the ultimate use of Revit? So the ultimate use for Revit for projects point of view is to, A, you will run all the services in Revit to see whether I'm getting a clash-free model, which is obviously a design-based requirement. But at the same time, Revit should give you quantification out. Now those quantification, you need to get it out based on my WBS structure. You can't give me quantities independent of that. So your WBS needs to link it with my budget codes. So you must have knowledge of budget codes also. I'm not saying you must have knowledge of specification, but budget codes have to be known for. You will have to know that flooring needs to be worked out in square meter. You will have a separate flooring for apartment, separate for toilet, separate for dry balcony. So your codification also will play a big role when you are doing a Revit model. Now, I feel that students are lacking this larger picture. They only know how to run commands in Revit. Now, that is only 20% of use. 80% would be what is the end result of doing this model in Revit for a project. Or in our life, what is permanent is change. Every day you will come across change management issues. Now, if you change model, then your quantification needs to get updated. There is no point of you saying that, no, I will have to again run the model to get my quantities. So it should be a linkable model. Those aspects will play a bigger role. Or for that matter, I see a lot of students coming in from a MSP background. Like they say that I know Microsoft Project. Microsoft Project is a tool. It will give you whatever inputs you give, the output will be given. But you must know what project needs as an output. How do you manage the task? How do you schedule it? Like I'll give you a simple example. In high-rise towers, building finishing goes in 3 stages. Certain finishing will be done along with civil works. Then there is a stoppage because you need to complete your external plaster, external texture, repairs and all. Then certain stage of finishing will go. Again, there will be a stoppage, and then final stage you will put doors, deep cleaning, CP fitting, fixing. Now, if you don't know this sequence, or if in your life you have not worked on a construction site, the schedule which you will prepare will be more or less academic interest. It cannot be a practical interest. Like our project schedule, each tower, the activity count goes as high as 6,000 numbers. Now, students are very good in doing 6,000 numbers, they will do in one go. But when your linkages go wrong, then finding the errors in 6,000 tasks is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So you need to define your activities based on WBS as well as based on floor. Because at a head office level, if you sit in my chair, I am interested in understanding how the flooring is moving from one floor to other. So I must have a WBS of flooring. At the same time, I must be able to sort the MSP on floor. Sometimes while making a basic schedule, this knowledge is not given to the students. So they will again go back to their schedule and start drafting it out.
Okay.
And so, like you, as I told you earlier also, that in large projects, you have design, which requires softwares like SketchUp, Autodesk, Revit, Autodesk Build. You have project management side of it where you will need MSP, or there's one good tool which has come in for costing, which is My Build Cost, where you can sketch out the plan and quantities will be taken out. So every time you don't need Excel based formulas. Or you have Smartsheet kind of a aggregator platform where your multiple datas can be put on one dashboard, which will be helpful for projects. Or you need to process your progress reports, you need to do your quality checklist. So each type of aspect of work is now getting digitized, and there is no single software available. You need to know multiple nature of them. Then only you will become like a generalist in projects. Such people are in big demand. If you become a specific person that I will do only AutoCAD, people will say, okay, you start your career as a draftsman, then you become a project architect, but you have a stagnation there. You need a career graph where you need to be knowing a lot of other things which team members want.
Okay. Can you just detail this out? What do you intend to say that only one software is not enough? So how does it actually pan out on the what do you say on the job role? So let's say, for example, I'm a student who only knows AutoCAD, and then there is Pratiksha who knows multiple softwares. So who is at a better position?
So definitely Pratiksha will become a key team member in a project role, whereas Kaustubh will be only left out to become like a design architect or design draftsman, or somebody who will know only AutoCAD. Like for example, if Kaustubh knows how to draft it, but Kaustubh doesn't know how to quantify it, or what is the role of drawing register, or how do you do inter-drawing referencing, then you will be at loss, because in projects, you have multi-disciplines parallelly going on. You have structure going on structure you overlap architecture, on architecture you overlap interiors, then you overlap all services, you overlap landscape, everything is getting overlapped in a layered manner. Now, these are different consultants who are giving you drawing. Now, when you come onto a BIM platform, BIM will have all these models clubbed together and give you a single model of truth. If you know how to operate this, you will definitely be in a more commanding position than saying that I know only AutoCAD architectural drafting, or I know only structural drafting. Like for example, in structure also, there are softwares which have come in that post you draft AutoCAD framing plan, you will get a system generated bar bending schedules. Now it's a big way for project like us where we have a centralized yards. So each yard will produce around 500 to 800 ton of steel processing every month. They need a placement drawing, which is your 2D AutoCAD drawing, but then you need to have an add-on knowledge of bar bending software systems or softwares, which will produce BBS automatically, which will produce cutting length optimization. So you can create a report which can be given to your steel yard that you get 12-meter stock length of bar, you cut this bar in this, give a tag to that bar, and that tagging is cross-reference to your placement drawing in a AutoCAD file. So once site gets cut steel, site foreman knows that this is for slab distribution, this is for beam main bar, this is for rings, and then utilization is achieved. Also, these guys can no longer sit in their head office in a AC cabin. They have to go to steel yard, look at what is the off-cut length available, jot it down, come back again into office, update their cut length option available, and then next time when they run a cutting optimization, the software will take off-cut lengths also into picture. And that's how project like ours, we will bring down the cutting wastage to less than 0.5%. So just imagine I'm doing a processing of 800 metric ton of steel per month. 0.5% of 800 ton is the wastage. Compared to other way, it would be 3 to 5% wastage. Sometimes on construction site, we have a standard clause that above 2 meter length, it will not be counted as wastage, it will be counted as full length bar. So in reality, your wastage on site is more than 6%.
Okay.
So not only your domain knowledge, but you need to know the knowledge of that entire process. If you are doing a steel placement drawing, ultimately what is the aim? To control the steel wastage. So you must be becoming like
Right.
a team player to understand this.
Okay. So compared to last, I remember we launched Revit in 2007. Earlier, we used to only hear about Nilshoff. We used to go to corporate office, Nilshoff, uh, try to look for placement for our students. But now a lot of companies have come up who are looking for BIM specialists. So
Yes.
what is your take on that, and what is the future of this particular field, which is BIM?
So I guess BIM will be a big revolution in next 5 to 7 years time. Primarily because projects are becoming more complex in nature. Let's say 5 years prior to today, we were
Okay.
only constructing 11-storied building or 15-storied building. There, the infrastructure was no so much dense or so much complicated that we need to have so many controls on the systems. But now we are talking of our residential projects going as high as 30 floors or 35 floors, and each location is having a development potential of 20 lakh square feet of area to be constructed in a period of 4 years or 5 years time. You need lot of drawings which are coordinated drawings. You no longer have a option of individual drawings. Now, when you talk about coordinated drawing, the best model which will coordinate them is creating a BIM model, building information modeling. Also, customer, your end customer, when they take possession of your building projects, whether it is residential apartment, factories or hospital, they need as-built drawings. Now, previously, you can imagine God only knows how as-built drawings were done, because they were done in individual buckets. Firefighting will give separate drawing, plumbing will give separate drawing. We are now converting that practice into a single BIM model. So the BIM itself will give you all these services incorporated at actual. And then in your 6D or 7D level of BIM standards, these drawings will be used for their subsequent maintenance or facility management or scheduling the AMCs, because you can then tag that equipment in a specific location with its key characteristics, which will pop up and tell you that my lift needs maintenance on such and such day, my STP needs maintenance on such and such day. So they are all becoming like a integrated platform. In such platform, BIM will play a bigger role. There are limitations today to create a BIM. It is like garbage in, garbage out. You need so much information to create a BIM model. Sometimes your BIM model will be incomplete, but your building will be up and ready, because people don't have details till last moment of your construction. But people will have to change, because you are doing something which is having so high risk involved that you will have to follow processes, systems. Like, we have moved on BIM platform for last 2 years and we are seeing big benefits coming out. But there are efforts required to be done.
Pratiksha, it seems I have lost search.
Yes, sir. So you are unmute.
So most of this, Rohit, so most of the companies which are now coming with requirements of BIM specialists, are they working on international projects, or has the Indian construction industry latched on to the BIM models?
So there are definitely big amount of pipeline coming out from India. The advantage of India is we have numbers to play. Internationally, there are very few projects which parallelly go off. In India, we have lot of number of projects going on. Maybe we are not willing to spend that much of money So there are intermediaries which have come up. Like in our company, we follow a practice that our consultants are not very active in BIM. So we tell them, you give us only 2D drawings. We will have a third party BIM consultant who comes on board, collects information from all these people and create a model which throughout the lifespan of project, he maintains it. So there is a lot of cost involved in maintaining of BIM model. Unfortunately, Indian construction mentality says that वो दिखाने के लिए मैंने बिम मॉडल किया है, ये देखो ये मल्टीपल कलर में मैं मॉडल घुमा सकता हूँ, ऊपर नीचे देख सकता हूँ, बट जब चेंज आएगा तब मैं करने को तैयार नहीं हूँ. So I guess we are coming slowly out of that mindset because there is a need.
Okay.
And a couple of our projects are working very properly with this model, that if you decide that you want to update the model, there's a lot of cost involved, but if you spend that cost, you will get a lot of benefits, because BIM will also give you quantities, BIM will also give you clash, BIM will also give you routing. So all these benefits far outweigh the cost involved.
So can you narrate a couple of practical examples where BIM model has allowed you to save the cost and shortened
Yes. So
and
maybe as a
maybe avoid
separate,
mistakes? Yeah.
yeah, maybe as a separate session, I can take you through our BIM model journey. How
Okay.
do we do model it out and so on and so forth. But just to give you an example, we had this one of our project which had podium in between 16 residential towers, and that podium was 3 levels of parking, and on top of that there was a 2 lakh square feet of podium with a clubhouse. Now you can imagine the kind of services which will go in for these podiums, our water tanks, plant rooms. Then clubhouse will have its own independent structural system. Services from clubhouse has to come down. Your rainwater harvesting systems would come in. All these we could model it in our BIM model. And earlier we used to spend months on site to create a mock-up, because in construction practice which we follow, we will always create a mock-up to see alignment of pipe, whether the proper support is there or not, how the joints are worked out. With a BIM model, because we are able to recreate that model in a 3D and hand over color printout to site team, in less than 1 week's time, our mockups would get completed, because mockup में correction होने का 2% chance था. 98% was resolved in the BIM model itself. And we could produce GFC drawings coming out of BIM model rather than giving 2D drawing. Then they will say that architecture drawing is not tallying with structural drawing, or sometimes there is a masonry shown but the beam offset is somewhere else, so masonry cannot be constructed. All these problems got eliminated. So that has been a good learning for us, and post that we have started now multiple residential high-rise towers coming on BIM model.
Okay. Great. Sir, I'd like to ask you this question. I'm very curious about this question. So, what are the usual work profiles in your company when it comes to design department and when it comes to project management department?
So
What are the usual profiles? Huh.
So design department, we typically work on 2 sets of models. In first model, we have an external consultant who gives us initial concept. He will develop that concept into design development and subsequently into GFC. So he gives us the drawings good for construction from his office. That is one set of model which we work on. In second set of model, we have our own design team established in our organization we call it as design studio. So the concept will be developed by external consultants. The design development and GFCs will be managed through our in-house construction planning experts who are heading the studio. So they will be breed of MEP designers, architects, interior designers who would take the concepts from our principal architects, create the drawings and models, share it with them for their review, but ultimately the whole design process of issuing GFC drawing, carrying out changes, evaluating site progress, all will be done by in-house design team. So in such in-house design team model, we will typically need architects with strong exposure of drafting in AutoCAD, and if they can go in for Revit, nothing like it. But in our organization, we still have not developed so much capabilities of Revit, because we find that Revit capabilities can be brought externally. Once your 2D drawings are frozen, then you need a subject expert who will not only create your model, but also convert that model into quantification, extraction, material specification. So they need a different skill set. So currently that is outsourced, but in 5 years or 4-5 years, we will try to bring this in-house. Now, second important department is project planning department. Now, in project planning department, we will plan for primarily 2 items, cost and time. Now, for cost planning, you need subject experts who will make budgets, who will make construction, documentation, contract administration. So that's a different view. And then you need project schedulers who will create time-based controls. So project scheduler will typically be people with understanding of MSP or Primavera. They are very good in MS Office. Both our contracts as well as planning team is good in MS Office, and contracts team also goes into ERP system. Now, subsequently, once the initial budgets are prepared, then contracts team will hand over those into 2 separate dedicated departments. One is billing section for contractor allocation, billing, contractor work profile and all. And second one is a purchase who will manage the material sourcing, because 90% of our contracts, we do labor contracts. That means we will procure the material and we will give it to contractor. Now here also lot of planning is required, like simple logic of how do you create a material library which is unique. So how the codification of material will come in. Like for example, in flooring item, you will have tile as first category. Under tiles, you will have vitrified tile, ceramic tile, agglomerated marble as subcategory. Then again in ceramic tile, you will have category size of 300 by 600, 400 by 800. And each of such category needs a unique code number, because when site demands for a material, they must give that code. So there's a lot of planning which goes into creation of this process. And here also you need civil engineering expertise, you need planning expertise, you will also need some financial expertise. So our planning and billing department will have combination of project management professionals, civil engineers. Some of them are accounts background, because you still also have to do lot of processing of bills, PRs, PO, and you must know how this can be done in a ERP system. So ERP knowledge is also important. What I feel is that all softwares can be taught. No software is something which is like not teachable. But you must first have the ability to understand the project environment. If you understand how the environment works, because software is a tool, there is a thought process behind that tool. If you know the thought process, learning tool is not a big thing.
Okay. Wow, sir. Really, really amazing insights you have provided. So usually, when you look at a fresher, hypothetically, let's say, for example, these are my set of freshers who have joined the interaction with you today. So what would be your usual expectations from these boys and girls when you want to make them a part of your team? They're all BE civils, or some of them are from interior designing background. Some of them are architects as well. So what are the usual things that you expect from them at the entry level? And how, because I want to understand how we can prepare them for your expectation, and other, they can also take some cue for self preparation.
So whenever we look at candidates, especially if they are freshers, we have a very active internship program in our company, which lasts for 12 months. During this 12 months period, based on their role profile, they will go through various departments. So suppose somebody wants to join me as a planning engineer, then I will ensure that he first spend some time on site to understand various nomenclature of what you call by excavation, how the piling is done, what kind of material is required. So he first goes to site to get first-hand experience of construction. Then he moves within side departments like stores, quality, safety. So he understands various aspects of construction. Then he comes back to office, then starts meeting the interdisciplinary department. Like you have a purchase department, you have a billing department, you have a project control department. So by rotating him in those departments, he or she becomes end of that period a more knowledgeable profession about the environment. They may not become subject expert, but they at least know that in order to get large project going, these are the stakeholders, this is how interaction happens, these are the medium of instructions or reporting structures or what is expected out of that department to do. And then they start with the planning departments as an assistant to some existing planner. And then once they complete one cycle of full project, because our typical project will be 2 to 3 years time, till that time they will be assisting someone. Some people don't like this, but our fear is that unless they have done that activity in their life earlier, they will not really plan for it. So they become like a assistant. And assistant means it's not like a handy boy. They have a lot of work to do because our one project is like 20 lakh square feet. So it's a humongous work which is being given to them. So they keep on growing up in that ladder, and then maybe after one project they will be given one single project to control. Then they will be given zonal role of multiple project to control, and ultimately they will climb up the ladder to go into project controller's position.
So when you interact them for the first time in, let's say, in an interview, you would question them about what areas, what should be they preparing to join your team. What are the usual, interview area preparation that you look for in a fresher?
We try to understand their basic understanding of subject matter as well as software. So if it is MSP, we will ask them that given a choice in a, let's say, 10-storied building, what should be your logic of preparing the schedule? Because we want to hear from them keywords like they will first break it with WBS, then break it with floor, then break it with trade. Like that, we want to understand these keywords from them. So we will say that if it is scheduling, what will you do? If it is design drafting, how do you do drafting? Show me any working drawing. How do you categorize the working drawing categories of structure separate, masonry separate, plaster separate? What kind of drawing registers have you prepared? Or how do you control the project documentation? Because many a times the person who drafts drawing also has to attend the site meetings to clarify doubts. So if such request for information comes or RFQ comes, what is going to be your response? How do you resolve that? What kind of checks and balances would you have? All these kind of initial guesswork will tell us how much theoretical knowledge he has. Then we will condition him for practical knowledge as well as any lack in theoretical knowledge.
Okay, and what would be the importance of software expertise? Because being CAD center, our core competency is, upgrading their skills on the industry level competency requirements. So how vital would be expertise on the software?
So I guess there were times earlier that people used to say that site पे खड़े रहना है तो क्यों software चाहिए? But gone are those days. Whether it is supervision or it is control function or a planning function, you can't do anything without software. So software has to be there. Without software, you will become like one of the 100 people, and there is no dearth of civil engineers in India. So if you want a good job, you will have to show and demonstrate that you know much better than your own core job. You know how to document it, how to communicate it, how to make notes, what kind of, like if it is simple example, a civil engineer on my side should know how to measure areas, how to check cross dimensioning. If it is a survey drawing, how do you close a survey? Many of the civil engineers even don't know there is a concept called as closing of survey to find the error in the survey. So those things have to be known, and to know these things, your software knowledge will be important. If you say that I know how to open AutoCAD file and close it, I will say that that is not called as AutoCAD expertise.
So my next question is, uh, in these 28 years, you must have dealt with a lot of people who are some and where you are freshers. So our boys and girls can learn that what are the usual challenges the big bosses face while dealing with them. What are the usual mistakes these people conduct? It may be technical, it could be behavioral, anything. Can you narrate certain anecdotes?
So I always feel that when you are young, you have a very hot blood in your veins and you want to protect what you are saying. So the whole approach is that I said this because there is this, because of there is this. You are always trying to protect your stand. Many a times your knowledge may be based on certain facts, but it's not a truth of the project. So you must be willing to first accept there is a mistake. And in our company, the whole culture we try to develop, that civil engineering projects or large building projects, people will commit mistakes. There is no point in covering up those mistakes. The earlier you own the mistake, the faster you can turn around. Like I'll just give you today's example. We have a problem with our procurement system that we are not able to procure certain category of material because it's a ERP system. There is a check and balance that unless there is a demand, you cannot place order. So demand has to be a PR or a purchase requisition, and order can be a PO. Now it so happens that this purchase executive is of a firm believer that order needs to be placed in project A, where there is no demand available, but demand is available in project B, and he is not ready to change orders to project B because it's a RMC plant. RMC plant is having a common location at one site. It is supplying to multiple sites. So if your PR is not available in building A, but it is available in building B, you must first change your stand that PO cannot be placed because site needs material. End of the day, any supporting role which you come in, your whole aim is to make site run on its own regular rhythm. So unless you accept this, there is nothing can be done. Or the other day, my architect kept on issuing a wrong reference drawing. So whenever you do drawings in large projects, drawings are always referred with reference to basic TBM level 1, TBM level 2. If you change those TBM, your orientation of building will change, your survey points will change. Now, there was a drafting error and he kept on suggesting that there is something wrong on site, there is nothing wrong in the drawing. But when we checked everything, he has to first accept that his TBM is changed. If he doesn't accept that, then there will be a whole lot of wastage of time. You did this, I did that. Lot of time site is always behind schedule, so they will get pissed off. They will start accusing consultants of not supplying drawings on time. Consultant will say, no, I supplied drawings, but you never checked it. So to cut this out, there has to be a mindset that you need to find a solution to the problem. You cannot become a problem yourself. You have to give solution. And to give that solution, if it is wrong at your part, accept it. If it is wrong at somebody else's part, accept it. As a project management professional, my job is to keep on communicating with multiple stakeholders. During the daytime, my day may start with morning trying to argue with a laborer on site, then go to site construction office, talk with construction engineer, construction manager, supplier, then come to head office, talk with head office team, afternoon talk to director. So the kind of bandwidth change which happens for a every day maybe make you go mad because you are talking with the laborer in Hindi, you are talking with construction engineer saying that this was your deadline, you didn't do it, and you are also have to listen to your director's questions, information requirements. So you need to have a positivity of mind to accept that your job is to create support for project. You alone is not important. I think Kaustubh, you are on mute.
Uh, so what practical skills are and competencies are required in today's job market from civil engineers point of view and from students who are interior designing background?
Civil engineering, unfortunately, in colleges is left out with maybe strength of material, maybe structural design modulus of rupture. But in reality, none of these topics matter. What matters on site is the understanding of drawing, visualization of placement, trying to find out issues when you start doing these kind of works. Or simple example that how do you define work methodology is very important. If I say that I want to construct a water tank, then what activity will come first, what will come second, what kind of standard operating procedure needs to be followed to do a particular sequence. Like in our company, we realized this gap around 7-8 years back. So we have created banners, a 6 feet by 3 feet banner with 25 slides for each type of activity. If you want to cast a footing, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If you want to do waterproofing in toilet, these are the steps. So such work methodology breakup also sometimes civil engineers are not able to explain or document themselves because they have never done any construction themselves. Civil engineers unfortunately are calling themselves like a handyman, that my boss told me I did this, my boss told me I did that. But when will this come from you, that you are given a job of creating a water tank? What all goes in water tank you should know. You should plan whether designs are available, you should plan ahead whether decisions on waterproofing systems are available or not. So such kind of job related exposure is very important for all the engineers. It is no longer left out that you just get a B civil and tomorrow you will become like a site engineer. People will have to give you respect if they know that you know your subject matter.
So one of the participant has asked you this question
Yes.
and most of them are job seekers. I think they have not even taken up the first job, but they are very intrigued by the opportunity in civil industry. And one of the questions from the participant is, how can I start my, I've given you the context. They have never done a job before. They have, handy in some of the softwares. They've either done it or partially are learning with us. Uh, and now the question is, how can I start my own business? And if I want to do my own project, then how should I start it? How do you respond to that, sir?
So it's a good idea to say that I want to start my own business, but maybe right now is not the right time. Because to start your own business, you must be having a exposure to what work you have been doing, be experienced to come out of teething troubles, potholes, fallbacks. So you must do work with somebody as his assistant or as his colleague or as his partner based on condition to condition to carry out number of works. Also, mind you that I would not like to coin this in a very crude language, but suppose you stand on the road and say that tomorrow I am ready to do work. Give me work of creating 30-storied building. Nobody is going to give you 30-storied building. People may tell you that, okay, you are new, you do one toilet modification, one room modification, maybe house construction. The biggest flip back or the fault in that is throughout your career, you will continue to do only that work. You will never graduate up. So you must always have a aim of doing large projects. No, nobody is going to give you large projects offhand tomorrow itself that you come and do the large project. If you want to do large project, you must get associated as a team member. And it's a ladder, whether we like it or not. Even if you're a son of a father who has lot of money, he will still not give you that full money to spend. He will say you be part with someone who knows how to do the job. So people will not take risks with you, and you have to accept that it will happen like this. You can't do much about it. So you will have to go through that grind of internship, making yourself as an assistant, then gradually becoming like a associate, then becoming like a partner. Like I see lot of people saying that there is a very good word called as interior decoration. They don't call themselves as interior designer. They call it as interior
Designers.
So interior decorator is a funny word because you are then left out to do decoration of maybe a small room, maybe a marriage venue, maybe something small here and there. But when you talk about interior designing as a process, then your knowledge level has to be at that level. For people to give you those kind of works, people must first have confidence upon you. You must develop that kind of credibility. How that credibility will be developed? By getting associated with projects, and you can say, okay, I know this project has got this challenge, this is how it will be done, come and see what my project looks like where I was part of it. That's how you will build your career.
Absolutely. So taking a leaf out of our interaction today. So first of all, they must have an apprenticeship period or an internship period
Yes.
where they should basically start with the first building block, that is knowing the ecosystem, knowing the environment of the project.
Correct.
Then become a part of the team, learn to interact with interdisciplinary, how it is done.
Correct.
So how much that period should be? It should be 3 years, 4 years, or
So
even
typically
longer?
we call it internship or this orientation as 12-month process. And to become self-sufficient, you must complete one project. Typically, one project from foundation to handover
Okay.
is a 2 years or a 3-year cycle. Why I say you
Okay.
must complete one project is there will be different challenges at foundation. There will be different challenges on material
Oh,
procurement on
yes.
finishing
Yes.
stage. There will be different challenges of Corona lockdown. How do you react? There will be different challenges of last month there was a strike of Walukhadi suddenly went on strike. Though how do you manage such situation? So one lifespan of a project will teach you to various emotions, various categories, various incidences, which will make you street smart, or at least which will equip you to show what kind of response you need to give, because there's going to be first time for everyone. Some people have got a shortcut approach that in a month's time I will come to know site execution, so I will become a contractor. But that will not work.
Okay. So you have to typically go through the entire process, go through the grind, understand what are the problems, how do you diagnose that, and
Correct.
then become self-sufficient to start your enterprise. So there
Correct.
is no point, Rohit sir, being hasty and jumping into the waters without really knowing
Yeah.
who is
Like,
waiting for you in the waters.
yeah. Like I
So
say
if you have
that,
to swim between the sharks, you have
yeah.
to be competent. Yeah.
Like I say that there is a 7
So
p.m. bus also, 7:30 bus also, 7:45 also. Why you should hold the bus at 6 o'clock saying that नहीं नहीं मुझे यही बस कैच करना है. लाइफ में तो हर घंटे में कुछ ना कुछ अपॉर्चुनिटी आएगी. Make yourself
okay.
capable enough to grasp that opportunity. It's not like that if you don't respond today, you will lose everything. Tomorrow something new will come up.
Something new will come. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and given the opportunities which are coming up in the IT industry, which is tempting a lot of my boys to look for career in IT, how do you envisage or how do you see the future in real estate industry, in the construction industry?
So I guess each industry will have its own ups and downs. Like for example, once upon a time, tech industry was the most sought after.
Yeah.
Last 6 months, it's been battered heavily with Amazon, people getting thrown out, IT people are getting removed because they don't see the business potential. Like we have a case where suddenly overnight 800 people were removed from Amazon. So it's like a tipsy topsy ride everywhere. I find that real estate is more balanced or matured because of upcoming GDP ratios which country like India will produce. There is always
Hmm.
going to be reasonably large demand for consumption. Now, if there is a consumption demand, then that demand will generate roles for getting participation active in that generation of demand. So that's how I say that real estate or construction in India is like a 20-year upswing trend. You will have small dips here and there. But because our country at 8% GDP or at 7% GDP has got so much humongous potential that you will get 100% opportunity in this field.
Okay. Great. And so really amazing conversation we have had. Finally, I would like to ask you one question and then move on to another segment. So, how important, because managing so many projects, you have to manage multiple stakeholders, and as you narrated, from a labor class person to a high stakeholder, your boss, it could be into client management, project management setup. So how important is developing your communication skills when it comes to, having a grand professional career, and how it has played a very big role in your career as well?
So I guess if you want to be part of project management, having effective and efficient communication is the base. If you don't communicate properly, or if you don't spell out the right terminologies or right direction, you are not going to get the end result achieved. Along with communication, your personality also matters. Based on the condition, you will need to change your personality traits. You can't always be a demanding boss kind of a condition. And these people management skills or people negotiation skills somehow are not taught in any courses. You
Yeah.
are always being taught that you are a boss, he is a subordinate, उसको 4 गाली दे दो, time deadline दे दो, कर लेगा. But everywhere it is not possible. So apart from your communication, you also need to enhance interpersonal skills. You need to have that compassion in your personality, and you must demonstrate that given a choice, I would have given you time, but because the condition is so bad that we all have to perform. If the person in front of you understands this, then he will try to get his best foot forward. Also, sometimes in project management, very easily people will get carried away. Like you will say, boss, you are great, you are great. So if you start getting carried away, or if you start listening to selective listening abilities, that you have a circle of whom you trust, because always, like with me also, I trust a person because he delivers, but there is a very thin line between trusting someone and blindly following him.
Blindly following him, correct, sir.
So those traits will also come in your skill set once you go through this one project cycle. That when you complete certain tasks, you will understand that, oh, you really wanted this person to perform this way, but he didn't do it, maybe deliberately, maybe circumstantially. It also sometimes happens that one person is like a Sachin Tendulkar in other side, and he's a complete failure on your side. So you need to find the reasons why it is happening, or you must create those environmental changes where people performance will get upscaled, or you need to skill your staff, because if you expect positive team performance, your team needs to have those skills. So these are, I guess, at least in India, whatever you may say that software is important, machine learning is important, half of your work will be done by computers. Operating computers will be people only. So unless you know people, your operations will not be 100% efficient. I saw somebody had raised their hand earlier, and then I missed him. If he wants to ask me question, he can go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I have a student. I think Gaurav is a participant here.
Yeah.
Gaurav has all the financial resources to pursue MS.
Correct.
And he has time of about Gaurav. Are you able to hear me, dear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm putting this question on behalf of you. So Gaurav has all the resources and he has the time. He's very young. He's just passed out from Bharati Vidyapeeth. So I've there's a now the bone of contention is whether he shall pursue his MS or start his own or start get employed with somebody. What do you suggest, sir? In early part of these days, shall he go and pursue further advanced knowledge?
So I believe that if you have resources, you must complete your master's course, because master's course will open up your eye to a different way to look at problems. In bachelor courses, like you have got those horse line of sight, it's only textbookish knowledge. In master's course, you will get involved into conditions or situations like that, but you must choose your masters which can help you to convert that master's knowledge into your career. there is no point of, let's say, learning urban design in India and trying to work with an architectural office who does interior design projects of remodeling of houses, because then there's no point of you having so much high knowledge of urban design and applying it into interior decoration or interior design. So definitely there are key subjects available to do masters, but then at least you must have your roadmap ready for next 5 years, that after you graduate from masters in 2 years time, what next 3 years you want to pursue. There is no point in coming back to a non-masters field and saying that no, I will start with this. Then there is no point in going in for masters. And biggest problem with youngsters is that once they start a job, they have this habit of every month X amount of salary getting credited in their bank. So once you get used to that, it is very difficult for someone to say that no, I will lose that money and I'll go and do masters. Though technically to do masters, you must have some working career knowledge, expertise to make both technical as well as practical knowledge combined for your masters. But nowadays, lot of people are doing masters immediately after bachelor's. Like I also did my architecture first 5 years and straight away I went for masters. I didn't do any practical training.
Yeah. Alok, sir, I spoke to you yesterday. As a part of our continuous support, we have developed an e-learning portal, which currently hosts about 2000 GB of courses for our civil engineers, architecture, and interior designing students.
Correct.
So I would ask Alok, Pratiksha, please give Alok the hosting, what to say that?
Yes,
Screen sharing authority.
Yeah.
Alok, can you just show, I would like to have Rohit sir's comment on that.
Yes,
So
sir.
we are giving them a three layered support as a part of continuous support. One is, this is an e-learning portal which has got about 2000 GB of data. Currently, it has about 33 courses in it.
Okay.
Apart from that, every week or 10 days, we are, inviting the experts such as you who can guide them about the real practical how things are panning out in the industry. And third, we are also conducting master classes every 10 days, 15 days as per our availability on that current subject. Alok, so is the screen visible to you?
Yes,
Rohit,
yes, I can see the screen.
Yeah. Alok, go to the architecture and interior designing section.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and scroll down. So on the left hand side, you can see the breakdown.
Correct.
This we have divided our portal into three sections. One is architectural design fundamentals. Third is architectural modeling fundamentals. And third is a section which is skill up section, where we are talking about the behavioral skills, the communication skills, interview preparation, job studies. The session today will be all put up in the skill section.
Correct.
Alok, go to the design fundamental section. So in the design fundamental section, we are, getting them abreast with space designing. We are teaching a course about space designing. So the goal of that course is how to calculate the minimum area required, depending upon the clients. So these are more of residential projects.
Sure.
Alok, just go down a little bit. Yeah. So this is the curriculum we have created. It is a 90-minute theoretical program, and this will be supported with video blogs, which I am creating. I will require your help on that as well. We are
Sure.
taking them to live places and making them understand these concepts about traffic flow, circulation, how the layout, organizational flow, all these things. So from a civil engineer point of view and an interior designing point, I would like to have your comment. How important would be for them to know AutoCAD and Revit and 3ds Max, and parallelly, if they could design their spaces as well, learning this course.
So Kaustubh, this is very important step which you have taken to document this, and it will go a long way for student to upskill their skills. As I see it, we have a distinctive characteristics between an architect and a civil engineer.
Yeah.
As an architect, he undergoes 5 years of formal education in his college, and during those formation years, he has been exposed to various design problems like maybe designing of a house, then designing of an apartment building, designing of a bus station, or theoretical aspects. But what he lacks is the on-site realities. Whereas if you take civil engineers, he is completely at loss because there is no formal education covering the building spectrum of activities. His all 4 years of education is getting bogged down with structural theories, uh, elastic theory, how to do structural detailing, maybe dam bridge building, which practically half of them will never work in their life. So they lack the understanding of a project. And when you do in reality any project, all are important and all are equally important. Like as a designer, you need somebody who understands the design, and as an executor, you need somebody who understands the execution mastery. So
Okay.
for civil engineers, your course content should be more on maybe how do you manage your project, what kind of aspects you should take care of, how do you calculate estimation, budgeting, materials, and all that. Whereas when it comes to designer, how do you efficiently design? And maybe you can take one project as a case study and create those aspects to show them that you started with X point and you raised to Y location. That journey will teach them a lot. Like for example, circulation topic for a architecture student, he may not find so much interesting than a civil engineer student, because civil engineer student is never taught what is circulation. Whereas an architect would 5 years, whenever he has an architecture design subject, would be always taught on this. But they both lack aspects like plumbing, electrical,
MEPs. Yeah.
MEPs. So
Exactly.
maybe you need to juxtapose these aspects in your courses.
Okay. Okay. Alok, just like to go back to the Vastu. So we have created a short program of 60 minutes about Vastu Shastra as well.
Correct.
Because understanding a lot of them now the client is adamant and now
Correct.
wants has inclination towards Vastu.
Correct.
Alok, can you show the? It's a small program. How do you see, sir? A civil engineer or interior designer knowing the aspects of Vastu as well. This is a very primer course, but we are
So
taking more.
Vastu Shastra has taken a big importance in everybody's life. Primarily because people are committing very large sums of money to create any project. So they don't want to take chance of a 1% also. So they want to be perfectionists with everything. Though Vastu people will have different thought processes from person to person. Like a simple example that which direction you should look for your house entry, whether you are standing outside looking into house or when you are opening the door from inside looking out. So these can be little bit issues, but unfortunately the basic aspect that your location of let's say water should be in this location,
Yeah.
or a large layout plot, your drainage should be on this location. Because Vastu other challenge also is that you really can't control what is going on below your floor or what is going on above your floor. So you may sometime have as stupid as having a toilet above the kitchen, or your master bedroom has got somebody else's lobby. So some funny incidents do happen, but it is better to give them basic knowledge of which direction calls for what benefit, because whenever you work, you must know that language.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I see a lot of good options like home design Vastu Shastra must be a good topic, and where you could explain them that when you are doing remodeling of a house or when you are planning
Yeah.
a house, your master bedroom location should be so much, your head should face this kind of a direction, because nowadays whether we like it or not, customer will ask you that is it Vastu compliant.
Yeah. Great. Alok, finally show that Pallavi ma'am's course, AutoCAD with space designing. So now most of our students are well versed with AutoCAD,
Correct.
but if you ask them that there's a family of 5 people and what is the minimum space that is required, then
Correct.
things go haywire. They don't know how to begin with. So that is why we first the first phase is they learn softwares with us. In
Correct.
second phase, they will learn all the space designing aspects on a primer level, and then we have devised a course where we are teaching softwares based on the space designing aspect. So this is
Correct.
one such course which we have developed. So right from the bubble diagram to the outer
Yes.
wall layout, then putting the
Correct.
furnitures, plumbing, electrical and lighting. So now we want them to be well versed because now they know AutoCAD commands and they have solved couple of projects in that. Now we
Correct.
have taken a real time case study which is designed by our product head Pallavi Joshi. She's also an architect, was practicing in America for some years.
Yes.
So now, what do you think about this idea, sir? We are
So this
teaching
is
them
very
space design.
important, and I would say that uh, this should be detailed out further into other aspects. Like for example, how you design a bathroom is also equally important. What is wet area? What is dry area? How do you design modular kitchens? Like if you go and
Yeah.
visit IKEA's website, they have some nice tools on that to design modular kitchen. Now you must make people understand that when you want to design modular kitchen, these are the sizes, these are the utensils, this is a layout. Maybe island kitchen will work like this, standard kitchen will work like that. Or for that matter, items like if you want to create a premium home theater system, how do you do it? Because a lot of people want to do such kind of new alteration in their houses. So with AutoCAD, how do you do all these things will be really important to see.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So because the whole intention of doing was that to improve their value and
Yes,
to improve their
definitely.
knowledge base, so they can work with bigger employers and can earn
And-
more money and also good designations as well.
Right. And
Yeah.
I believe that as I explained to you, that there are some other softwares like Autodesk Build, which is more of
Yeah.
a project documentation, or Smartsheet, which is more of a collaborative software. If you can teach them these add-ons, then their main role is design drafting, but with that they will come into role of design coordination, drawing management, because these roles are becoming very important nowadays.
Okay. Great, sir. So with that, we'd like to conclude this
Yes.
interaction. Thank you for sparing so much time.
No, it's
And
really good to see you are doing extremely important and relevant job in this industry, because I guess it's like a chicken and egg story that freshers feel that they are not being honored by industry, and industry feels that fresher, unless being molded properly, cannot be utilized as a resource. So unless you create that confidence that he can be utilized as a resource, it's always going to be give and take kind of a situation, and people like you would be the intermediaries who will give that confidence, understand industry need, make them industry ready kind of a aspect, which is a great job which you guys are doing. Okay, thank you Pallavi.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, कौस्तुभ सर से आपके बारे में मैंने बहुत कुछ सुना है, आज आपको मिलने का मौका मिला ऑनलाइन एटलीस्ट, तो ये बहुत मतलब आई एम ओवरवेल्म्ड सर. थैंक यू so much for your time.
Hope I could add some value to your thought process.
Yeah, definitely sir, it could.
Okay, chalo, take care. Bye.
Yes sir, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time, sir. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Thank you, Pratiksha.